All right, welcome back to PC Building Simulator, and welcome back to the NZXT Workshop. I guess it's actually the first video we've done here. This is going to be PC Building Simulator Free Build Extreme, Episode 4. In Episode 3, we built an all AMD PC using some of the new graphics cards we got from AMD in one of the most recent PC Building Simulator updates, so that was a lot of fun. But today we're going to do something different, something very ambitious. Very ambitious. We're going to build, first of all, we're going to build in this case, the Ryzen Tech Enyo. One of probably the most, it's definitely like the most interesting over-the-top case in the game. We'll go over why, and we're going to throw some stuff in here. And we're going to be doing kind of a theme build today. This is going to be sort of like a dueling fire and ice PC. So where the theme is going to be fire and ice. Yin and yang. Not really, not yin and yang, but fire versus ice. Dueling dragons. I don't know what I'm saying, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to build all inside the Ryzen Tech Enyo because this case has some really cool possibilities and some really cool possibilities with water cooling. So let's go ahead. We're just going to pull off the front panel, the back panel, the other front panel, both side panels and the top panel. Okay, and so we can get in here and we can get everything going here. This is quite the case. It's you can see it's a pretty bare bones chassis, but it's a lot of fun. So we're going to quickly throw a bunch of parts in here because this is going to take us a little while. So as far as the motherboard, we're going to go with the Asus ROG Zenith 2 Extreme Alpha. That is a TRX 40 socket, so that locks us in for 3rd gen Threadripper for our CPU. So let's go ahead and get that CPU socket all opened up and ready to go. We're going to go with the Threadripper 3960X. This is the top performing overclocking chip in the game. If you want to get the highest 3D Mark score possible, that is a CPU to do it. We're not going to do that today because it takes a really long time and it's really hard. Props to anyone who does. You're brave. I am not brave like you. We are going to go ahead and get some RAM in here. This board actually, 1st slot, 3rd slot, 6th slot, and 8th slot. That gets you into quad channel if you're only going to do 4 DIMMs. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to go with some Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro. And we're going to go with a 4700 megahertz kit. Crazy speed, crazy fast. Also, looks very nice. So we're going to get that in here. And again, the quad channel thing, it matters in real life. It doesn't really matter in the game, but it does matter in real life. So we're going to pretend this is real life. We're going to get a big old glob of thermal paste on there and then get our CPU block put on. So we are going to go for full water cooling on this build. We're going to go with the RGB Threadripper block from EK Water Block. So that's on there, good to go. We're going to get a little bit of RGB in this build. Not a ton because of the way we're going to set the water cooling. We're not going to have any RGB fans, which I think I would like to have, but it's also kind of fun to do a themed build without relying too much on fans. So, okay, but that's our motherboard, that's our memory, that's our CPU. We got CPU cooling, that's all locked in. Let's get a little bit of storage in here. We can just tuck, this board has a whopping 4 M.2 SSD mounting positions, 2 underneath the motherboard cover that I just slid open. And I don't really care too horribly much. And then there's 2 more on the DIMM.2, which is pretty cool. We can get some Viper 2 terabyte. I think these are VP 4100s. Yep, that's right. We can get those in there. We really don't need this much storage. We're just going to put it anyway. And then I'm just going to show the other ones as well. And we'll do some RGB ones. We can do some RGB from Viper as well. The VPR 100 M.2 2 terabytes. So we're going to have a whopping 8 terabytes of storage in this computer. And these ones up here are RGB, and they're installed in the M.2 slot to the right of the memory. So there you go, that's our storage. Let's go ahead and get some graphics cards in here. So like I said, we're doing full water cooling. So we gotta go with obviously our water cooled graphics cards. The top of the line here is gonna be the 2080 Ti. We don't have any 30 series. We don't have any new RX 6000 series from AMD that are water cooled yet in the game. Hopefully, eventually, that'll be super awesome. I'm excited for that. But for right now, we're gonna stick with the 2080 Ti, and we're gonna do the 2080 Ti's from EVGA. This is the XC Hydro Copper Gaming. It is very pretty. It's very nice. I like it very much. It's got some good RGB, nothing over the top, very clean. It's going to fit our build here quite well. Okay, so we've kind of got the guts of a lot of stuff. I guess let's get a power supply in here. If you were paying attention, you might notice that looks like there's 2 power supply mounting positions in the back, and you would be correct. And apparently they're, sorry, 1600 is what I wanted, not 1400, not 1660. Hello. Corsair, let's go with that. We'll put that back here. It's only going to fit in the bottom one. The game right now still only supports 1 power supply system, and honestly, in the game, there's no reason to have more than 1. You'll never need it. But in real life, the Enyo supports it has brackets for 2 power supplies. If you're going to do some intense, crazy overclocking, that would allow you to do something like that. You don't need it in the game though, so it's not supported. Doesn't need to be. Okay, so we've got kind of all the guts to get our computer going here. But let's get our cooling figured out. So like I said, we're going to do some major custom water cooling, and this case is super, super interesting when it comes to water cooling. We're going to go right into Corsair's 480 mil radiator. These are a little bit more of a recent addition to the game, and they are awesome, and they are made for this case. So let me show you why, because we can fit one in the front. Thank you, automatic screw tool. You're making my job so much easier. We can fit one in the top. That's 2 so far. You can count, right? Okay. And we can fit one. Let me think about this. I'm trying to think when I want to put this one in. We're going to wait for one of these. We can do one in the back. And we're going to do... We can't fit a 480 here, but we're going to do Corsair's 360 just to match. And we're going to stick with the XR7. It's the same thickness, same style as the other one. So that'll go back there. So now we're up to 3 480s and 1 360, and we've got room for one more 480 under here. But before we do that, we should get some fans installed, because we'll want to get some case fans down there before, and we're kind of doing it more for looks. They aren't really probably super necessary for performance, but we're going to do it. And I think to match our fans on our radiators, I'm going to go with the non-RGB, just Corsair ML120. So those are 120 mil fans. You can do 140s down here, but 120s work better because you can get 4 across instead of 3. It looks better. So we're going to put 3, 4, excuse me, we're going to put 4 down here. I'm going to wait to put this last one in because of just a little bit of quirkiness with this case. It's easier if we wait to install that last one. So let's go back to radiators, not reservoirs, and do our last radiator in the case, and another 480 down here, which fits wonderfully. Now we've got room for one more fan, but we're gonna wait. We're gonna start connecting everything first. But before we do that, we need to get some reservoirs in here. So this case is super, super, super cool because it supports 2 reservoirs. Not all of them fit. Sadly, like I'd love to do the Tech and Tilla and put 2 side by side, but they're just a little too wide, and you can't do 2 side by side. It makes me sad because I really wanted to do those for RGB ones here. I built in this case before and done the Alpha Cool Icebecker 250 mil acetal. It's real tall and real awesome, and you can put 2 of them side by side. But for what we're doing today, and we're gonna check this out pretty soon, to make this theme happen and really look as close as possible to fire and ice, which is difficult, we're gonna need RGB reservoirs. So I'm not gonna do this one. As much as I love it, I love how tall it is and like it's just cooling all the time in front of your face, we're not gonna do it. We're gonna go with the EK RGB reservoir. It's the best looking RGB reservoir that we can get 2 of in this case. So we're gonna do one here, and then we're gonna do another one right alongside of it. Now, I wish those, of course, were like twice as tall because I just want to see all the coolant. So the only bummer, but it's okay. It is what it is. We got to deal with the confines of space in this case, and that is where the reservoirs mount. So such is life. Okay, so we've got all of our water cooling components in. Let's get things cabled. I'm gonna stick with black cables, and you'll notice I don't have the automatic cable tool on, and if you wanna build and try to do a build like this in the Enyo, we're gonna hook everything up. Your best bet is to not automatically connect it. You just need to do it manually for this one. It's gonna work much better if you do this. So let's just hook up the easy parts. We'll get the motherboard connected. We'll get our GPUs connected. I'm so not used to doing this. It's so much work. Okay, so we've got all these different radiator connectors. This is going to be the case connector for the front panel, so let's connect that. Now, what we're going to do, what I find works best, is if I connect this top one, we're going to find a spot on the motherboard. And then we're going to daisy chain around. So we're going to daisy chain the front radiator to the top radiator. We're going to daisy chain the bottom radiator to the front radiator. Now, we've also got these fans here. They're going to daisy chain in just a second, but first we're going to flip around the back. So we'll go top radiator to this top motherboard connection, and then we're going to go radiator, daisy chain to this radiator. So now, all of our radiators are connected. You can see the bottom one spinning there, front, top, both in the back, all spinning. So we're happy there. Now let's make sure, can we connect both of our reservoirs? They're each going to need their own connection. Okay, there's one. There's 2. We've still got 1 header down here, which we're gonna need for our fans. So let's install that last fan. I've noticed that you just need to wait to install this last fan to get this to work. But it works, and that's what matters. So we can put this in here, and then we should be able to connect this fan to the motherboard, and then we're gonna daisy chain, if I can click correctly, we're gonna daisy chain these fans together. Now, everything should be connected. We've got power to both reservoirs, all of our fans in the front are spinning, all of our radiators are connected. Life is good. The hard work is done. That's the trickiest part of building in this case, but you can do it. You just gotta not use the auto connect tool, and you can get it done. So now, we need to do our plumbing. So the whole theme around this build is gonna be fire and ice, and kind of this concept of dueling fire and ice, right? So we're thinking 2 separate liquid cooling loops with different themes in each. Now it's fun, you can do lots of stuff in this. You can do a Christmas build, you could do a Intel and NVIDIA, so you could have a blue loop for Intel and a green loop for NVIDIA if you want, but we're gonna do fire and ice, and we're gonna go through exactly how we're gonna do this. It's gonna be a little bit interesting. So first, on the CPU loop, that's gonna be our ice loop. And to do the ice loop, and I've trial and errored the best way to try to get this theme to look right, and what I've landed on is we're gonna do hardline tubing, first of all, but doing white rigid pipe with blue fittings. These are the blue fittings from EK. And then the coolant we're gonna use is going to be blue opaque UV. And then we're gonna do a little bit of RGB on the reservoirs to make it look nice. So let's get that started. We're gonna connect the CPU to the top reservoir. We're gonna run around the back and grab both of these reservoirs and then come back into our CPU. That's gonna be the plan. So let's get it going. So we're gonna go from the top connector here to our radiator here. I'm gonna try to make stuff look clean, and at the same time, while trying not to take too long, I do wanna show this because I think the process of doing hardline tubing in this game is really interesting and really fun, and it's part of what makes themed builds like this challenging and enjoyable and rewarding, and I don't know, all that stuff. So this case is hard though, because this case is so gigantic. This is a super tower. It's classified in the game as a super tower, and it's so big that sometimes it can be hard to get a good look at things, to get nice looking bends in place, just because it's such a chonker. Okay, so there we go. That's gonna be bend 1. Now we're gonna come out the top radiator and we're gonna zip around to the back side. I'm gonna go. And what's nice is it usually runs a pretty good starting route, and then it's mostly just cleaning it up from there. So let's go into this bottom bung, and it's nice because there's these holes in the middle of the chassis here, and the game is really great at routing through those, at least kicking them through in some way. Now we can clean up some of the angles here, get rid of some of these bends that we don't need, but it gives us a really good starting point, and it seriously is so helpful. So we're gonna come up, we're gonna try to snap some nicer looking angles on some of these. And trying to also think about, like, I'm going to run another loop down here with the graphics cards, grabbing these other 2 radiators. So trying to think about how these are going to come together a little bit. It's hard to, like, envision it all, but we're trying. So I'm going to come out just a bit. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, just because it's such a big case. But it's a fun challenge to try to build. And like I said, this is a we're shooting high with this video, I guess. We're gonna try. We're going big. We're trying stuff. So let's bring that out. We'll snap that. Just gonna clean these up. I'm not gonna be too perfectionist about how they come together, especially the backside. We're not gonna really see too horribly much. So I mostly just want to get things looking like, you know, semi-tidy. Actually, let's just take that bend out. Snap that one 90. Bring that over. And then maybe we could just snap that. That's pretty good. Okay, now we're gonna come out of the top bung on the reservoir here, and then we're gonna come around to the bottom on this one. And that's gonna be a pretty simple deal, which is nice. Let's take that away. And then it doesn't quite want to snap down here sometimes, and that's okay. Again, it's not super critical, so that'll be good there. All right, so now we're gonna come out of the bottom bung of this radiator, the right one here, and we're gonna come back into our reservoir. Our in is here, so we're gonna come into this. When I come back into it, I wanna also give myself enough clearance to come out on the other side, which is super tricky and easy to forget. Don't ask me how I know that. And then we've got, the game again gave us a actually pretty generous pass through the case there, a little bit generous. So let's just bring that up a smidge so it looks right. Okay. Good, and then we can still zoom out a bit, which helps. And then let's bring this. Oh boy, there's a bend there. Ugh. This case is so large. Okay, we're gonna snap. Hopefully just get a snap here. Okay. And go up. And snap to there. Okay, that'll give us enough clearance to get out of the reservoir here. So let's go out the reservoir and back to the CPU to complete the first loop. It was a doozy. I told you, we need to get the computer built quickly because the time-consuming part was going to come later. Okay, I like to do this thing where, like, if we come straight out of the CPU, straight up, I like to come straight down when we come back out. I don't know, it's like a kind of a cool look. So let's do that. Let's go here. And then let's actually get a little bit of it. This is where it gets hard when you try to get up above it. Like that. Yeah, nice. That looks good. Okay, so that is our first loop completed. So that is going to be our ice loop. So now if we're going to move to the fire loop, what we're going to do on the fire loop, and this one's going to sound, well, it won't sound weird yet. You'll think I'm really weird when we get to the coolant part. We're going to go with red rigid piping. That's not super surprising. We're going to go with red fittings. Also not surprising. And we're going to connect both of our graphics cards to our reservoir, to our front radiator, and to our bottom radiator, and then we're gonna come back, right? Okay, so first of all, we can just connect up the graphics cards. This is like the easy part. I like to just get it in there. It's a good confidence booster. Okay, I'm good at water cooling, cool. All right, so we've got our out there. Let's go out of the reservoir and into the left bung of our graphics cards. So this will be kind of cool because we're going to have here, you're going to see, like, we're going to have fire and ice running right alongside each other. It's going to be dramatic or something, but it's going to be pretty cool. We're going to be able to give this kind of a cool look when you have things, these contrasting colors running right alongside each other. So let's actually snap that to just come straight out, a little simpler. And then bring that over. If there was no snapping on water cooling this game, I'd be so doomed. I'd just be completely doomed. And then let's do that. So we'll come a little bit further. Okay. I want to, like, get this right down between the two. Yeah. Give me some fire right there. Splitting the two reservoirs. I like that. That should be good. And let's bring it out just a bit. So we got nice, even snaps, and I've ruined my other angle doing that, and I've ruined this angle doing that. Okay, this one's going to be pretty close to the front glass, to be honest. Okay, and we've done that. It can be very tricky. Okay, we're good there. Should be good. Let's get a little angle on that. Boom. All right, that should be good. Okay, now we're going to come into our reservoir from this radiator. So let's go like this to here. And this one gets us actually pretty close right off the bat. We are not going to have to do too much with this one. We're just going to get rid of some of these. Get rid of you. Actually, I'm catching on something now. It might not like the way that it's hitting the case up here, or maybe I'm just hitting the reservoir. Yes, okay, cool. That's easy to fix. That is easy to fix. All right, we'll come down here. Snap, 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 snip, snap. Okay. And then let's just cut an angle like that. Okay, so that is radiator into the reservoir. Now we got to connect our two radiators. So we'll go radiator here. I'm going to grab the bung that is closest to us here. Ooh, I've actually probably killed myself by building the other one there. I got to redo that one. Okay, so that should be cleaner, and I didn't, block my outlet there on the radiator, so that was 100% my fault. Let's go from there. We're going to go to the one that's closest to us, to the camera here. And it's actually nice. Like, this case is great because there's lots of room to pass piping through different panels. Because it's, like a weird skeleton chassis. So that actually is really nice. Let's do, this one doesn't, I don't even know if this one matters that much. I'm almost like tempted just to kind of leave that how it is. We should clean up a little bit, right? Maybe. Like that, and then it goes straight down through. Yeah, that looks good. We're not gonna see too much of that one. So that's cool. We'll have lots of fire going on over here. And then let's complete our loop from radiator into graphics cards. We'll come into this one, and this is also gonna be a nice, simple little run. I'm just gonna bring this down to, oh no I'm not, because I'm hitting the chassis. Yeah, oh I'm hitting like the radiator, so I shouldn't do that. Honestly, because I don't wanna run my pipe there. I'm a little tempted just to do that. Okay, so there we go. That is our loops done. So you can already see how the fire and ice are going to sort of do battle. I don't know what I'm saying. All right, so let's get our coolant going. This is the part where you might think that this is gonna be a little bit weird. So coolant. And trying to get this to be the right color was really kind of difficult. We've got some blues and reds in here, but they just never came off the way I wanted. So the ice loop probably won't be super surprising, actually. Blue opaque UV coolant is what we're gonna do in the left reservoir. And once we do some RGB on the actual reservoir, you'll see that this is gonna look pretty good. Now in the left one, or the right one, what? Left, right, whatever. Right one, the fire loop, we're gonna do yellow opaque UV coolant. And you're gonna see it and think, no, this looks bad. This looks super bad. But trust me, this is the closest I could get in the actual piping to making this truly look like more of like a fire build. A lot of the red UV coolants and the red coolants are pretty dark. Like they're very rich red, too rich to be fire, which is more of like a red-orange. And so this is gonna be a better way to do like kind of a red-orange. And again, we're gonna do RGB on the reservoir, which is gonna fix this, yellow. It's gonna fix it, I promise. So we're just gonna let those fill up. So you can see the ice one ran all the way back here and came back through, and there's our fire loop all completed. So it's a pretty cool look. So now I'm gonna get some software set up on the computer, and we're gonna go through the RGB, and then we're gonna make this thing actually look right. All right, so we've got everything installed here, ready to go. Now this is what the RGB looks like by default. So now you're thinking, this is the worst fire and ice build I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know what this guy's doing. So we're gonna try to fix that, okay? Now I know we don't have any RGB fans in this because we've chosen Corsair's radiators, which don't have RGB fans on them. But I think the internals of this we can get looking very fire and ice. So let's go through how to do that. It's gonna be all through the RGB app. So let's jump in. We've got a lot of things in here to set up. So I'm gonna make kind of like the motherboard and CPU loop. That's gonna be all kind of ice looking. So we're gonna grab the motherboard, our Zenith to Extreme. We're gonna grab our CPU block, that RGB CPU block from EK. We're gonna grab all of our RAM. We could do alternating. I tried it, like just testing it. It looks super hokey and dorky, so we're not gonna do that. We're gonna leave our graphics cards. Those are gonna be part of the other loop. We can go ahead and do the RGB M.2s. They don't have a lot of RGB. And then we're gonna do one of the pumps, or one of the reservoir pump combos, but I'm not sure which one. We're just gonna guess at the left one. Hopefully it is. I don't know if it will be. And then we're gonna set all of these to 0, 68, 255. That's just what I've landed as like a good looking blue. So let's see, how do we do? Hey, we actually got the right reservoir. So that's gonna be our ice. And actually the fire is already coming together pretty close. I'm going to tweak things a little bit, but we're already getting close. So you can see how we've gotten a lot closer. And that white coolant, or sorry, the white piping does a nice job at sort of like brightening up and introducing some kind of like Arctic looking blue into what otherwise would be a pretty dark coolant on its own. So it took a little bit of trial and error, but I've gotten there. So let's now grab the graphics cards, and we're going to wait for the actual reservoir because we're going to do something a little bit different with the reservoir, but with the graphics cards and the bridge, we're gonna do, let's see, 235, 64, 19. This is gonna be kind of an orange, a brighter orange looking fire. So fire is like a weird color, right? Because fire is like, yellow, orange, and red all combined into this just electric looking color. So I think that's pretty close. And it's about the closest I could get with the actual piping, doing red piping with yellow opaque UV coolant. So now let's do the reservoir. It's going to do something just a little bit different. It's actually not going to be that different from where it's at right now, I don't think. It's pretty close. So with the reservoir, I'm going to go 102, 15, 15. which is going to just be sort of like it's not quite as bright and electric as it was, but it matches everything pretty well. So that is my take on a fire and ice PC and a dueling fire and ice PC. So we can go ahead and put some of the panels back on, I guess. It's not complete until the panels are on, right? So we get a top panel, which is hard to put on because it's such a gigantic case. There's our front, which actually does kind of mute it just a little bit because there is a smoke. So maybe we'll leave that off for right now. What I really like about this is how ridiculous it looks when it's off. Like, it does not look good. Like, why is it yellow? Why is it blue? But look, kablam! Fire and ice. But there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. That's kind of my take on a fire and ice PC. But let me know what you guys think, and let me know if there's something you guys would do differently. I'm curious to see what you would do differently to make a fire and ice PC in PC Building Simulator. But hope you guys enjoyed. I've been your host, JVN. I run the YouTube channel JVN Gaming. If you'd like to check out my channel, the link is down in the description. I would love to see you over there. Would love to see you watching along. So, and if you want to see more videos like this one, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the official PC Building Simulator YouTube channel. I'll be continuing to do hopefully more free build extreme videos. We've also got Big Jake doing deep dive tutorials, things like water cooling, let's see, overclocking. He's teaching me things I didn't know, so be sure to check him out. And then we also got the Clumsy Geek, who's running through the PC Building Simulator career mode and all of the fun and troubleshooting involved there. So definitely check all of those out. And either way, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. See ya.